Hey there, my fellow lunatics, and welcome to Dakon's Madhouse. Alright, everybody, today we are going to talk about necklaces, and these necklaces are at their starter level. If I was to have one real thought on necklaces, I would say that necklaces tend to be a very niche item with a few good general purpose necklaces, but the vast majority of them are best in slot for one or two very specific tasks. And that's about it. So first of all, let's real quick just get into the rules, and I'm not going to waste any of your time. Let's get started. Number 1, all of the items are at their starting level. There are no item level upgrades. None of the items are reinforced. I have noticed that at lower levels, a lot of people tend not to reinforce their items, so I'm going to assume that you don't have the resources, or you just keep forgetting to reinforce. Number 3, I take into account at what point in the game the item is normally going to be found. So for example, the copper sword is more useful in the early game than in the late game, so I'm rating things with this kind of consideration in mind. Number 4, different playstyles can alter the ranking of various weapons for different people. Now, I'm going to try to stay neutral and take all these different playstyles into account, but I must admit, I have a bit of a bias toward fast attack speed weapons that hit more often than single shot attacks that do more damage in a single blow. I'm going to do my best not to let that get the better of me though. With that out of the way, let's take a quick look at the rating system in general and what each tier means. Starting with the S tier. This is the top tier. These are going to be our super versatile items, best of the best, things that are used in multiple builds. A tier, those are going to be excellent items. Top tier for at least one build, and often versatile, but not necessarily the best of the best. B tier are strong items that you really aren't going to complain about, but they have limited use or are eventually outclassed by other items. C tier, these items are fine. You can't go wrong with them, but you will eventually replace them, or you are going to replace them pretty quickly. D tier, maybe these items have a little bit of a niche use, but otherwise they're really not that useful or worthwhile. And F tier, the item is trash, it's not any good, don't bother using it. Alright, with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started with ranking all of the weapons. First up on our list, we have got the Ammonite necklace. Now, I'm going to throw this one into D tier. Personally, I think that this is a weaker version of the polished iron chunk necklace, which is craftable. Now, if you cannot craft the polished iron chunk necklace yet, then this is a much more useful item. And that's the only reason I'm not actually throwing it into F tier, because it does have its use if you don't have anything better yet. However, at the point that you're getting the Ammonite necklace, you should be able to craft the polished iron chunk necklace. The ancient gem necklace. Now, I was originally going to put this one in D tier, but I've started to appreciate the speed boosts a little bit more than I think I have in the past, especially in some of my past tier list videos. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this one into C tier. It has good melee and mining attack speeds. However, there are other necklaces that do this better. So if you get this early enough in the game, then this is definitely a pretty decent necklace, especially if you're going for an early game mining speed build. Next, we've got the Ancient Guardian necklace, and I am throwing this one into D tier. Now, that is not saying that this is not a good necklace. This is a good necklace if you want to focus on just damage for bosses. However, it is super niche. So if you're only going for that specific build, then it's a great item. However, it's just so niche that it's just not that useful in my opinion. The same thing is actually true here for the Atlantean Worm necklace, which I'm putting into D tier, not because it's bad. It's just really, really niche. It is only good for bosses. So you're going to put this on if you really want an extra boost against bosses. This is like a best in tier for many types of boss fights, but it's just only good for that. So equip it for that, then get rid of it. You know, I could see someone Here's the thing. Sometimes I go back and forth on niche items. Sometimes I think a niche item is a B tier item. Sometimes I think it's a D tier item. And that doesn't necessarily mean anything about its overall quality. It's just an inconsistency I have, and I apologize. So yeah, could this be considered a B tier item as well? Yes, it is a good necklace. It is also only good for bosses and nothing else. For me, that makes it D tier, but you can be the judge. The Azios Beak Necklace, however, this is definitely an A tier item. It is a top-notch melee and mining necklace, especially at the time that you get it early in Azios' Wilderness. I highly recommend it. Very good item to have for your mining build. Speaking of mining build necklaces, the black necklace is actually going to go into the C tier. It isn't a bad necklace. It's actually pretty decent. However, there are some better ones. But if you don't have any of those better necklaces, then this thing is definitely worth using. The Blob Rosary Necklace, however, this one is going into D tier. It has an okay hit point boost, but that's really the only thing going for it. The set bonus really isn't that bad either, but the item that you have to equip to get the set bonus, you're probably not going to do that. So to me, that kind of puts this into the D tier as something to only really use if you don't have better yet. The Bone Necklace, I'm going to put this one into C tier. It's got a good crit chance. The armor isn't bad either. It is a useful necklace, but it is replaceable. The Bubble Pearl Necklace, this one is also a D tier necklace. At the time that you get this, unfortunately, there's just a lot better stuff. In fact, in some ways, I might consider this our first F tier. It's like, yeah, I'm going to go and throw this into F tier. It's not that it's just really, really bad. It's just that there's so much better that you can already have by this point. It might be useful if you level it up a little bit, because it does get better as it levels up. But at the point right now, when you first get it, it's really not that great. The Cave Guppy Necklace, I'm going to throw into C tier, as it's a pretty excellent dodge necklace that you can get really, really early if you're willing to fish in the early game. However, dodge doesn't get super useful in the early game. That's more of a mid-game useful thing, as the really good dodge items start to acquire in Azios' Wilderness, and by then you'll probably find a better dodge necklace. The Conch Shell Necklace is actually going to go into A tier, and while it is not the best dodge necklace in the game, it is one of the more versatile dodge necklaces with lots of other benefits. So if you're already able to easily get yourself to the 90% dodge cap, you might want to take a closer look at this one and sacrifice a little bit of that necklace dodge bonus for some other bonuses as well. The Copper Cross Necklace, this one is going to go into B tier, as crit chance is always good, and you get this necklace super early. So that makes this a really, really good necklace, but it is replaceable unless you start upgrading it. The Coral Amulet, I'm going to put this one into D tier again for its niche use. There's nothing wrong with this necklace. In fact, it is best in slot for what you're going to use it for, and that is boat speed. Just put it on when you want to make yourself go faster in a boat. Take it off when you get out of the boat. Otherwise, you're not going to use this thing at all. Yoster's Necklace is next, and while I love it, it is still a D tier item. It is specifically a best in slot to have for a harvesting build. You're absolutely going to want one of these, but just like the Coral Necklace, you're going to put it on when you're harvesting plants, and you're going to take it off and put it back in its chest and forget about it until you need to harvest plants again. The Fang Necklace, this one I am putting into B tier, as it is an excellent early game melee necklace. If you're playing with melee, you're going to want to grab this thing. The Flame Necklace, this one I'm putting into D tier. It isn't bad. In fact, it's best in slot for burn builds, but again, it is a niche item, and if you're not a burn build, you're not going to use this. The Fusion Chunk Necklace, I'm throwing this one into C tier, as this is actually a pretty decent general purpose necklace, and there are not a lot of general purpose necklaces in the game. However, it doesn't do any one thing very well, so if you are going more specialized, you will find yourself replacing this with something a little bit more specific. The glass bead necklace. This is the first S tier necklace. Now, I make no secret of the fact that I've had the most success in this game going heavily offensive, as I have found that if the enemy doesn't have a chance to hit me, then they don't have a chance to do damage, and I don't need that much defense. And so far in Corekeeper, that's worked out pretty well. We'll see how well that works in the future with the 1.0 release. But as a result, for right now, that places this glass bead necklace as one of the most versatile and useful necklaces in the game. It is used in 90% of my builds, and I absolutely love it. Now we've got the gold crystal necklace next, and it is going into C tier, as this can be a very helpful early game necklace for just that little bit of extra damage. However, if you can, just craft the polished version, as the polished version is better in pretty much every way. The grub egg necklace, I'm throwing this one into A tier, as it is a solid melee damage necklace. If you are going on that melee damage kick or mining damage as well as a result, you're going to want to take a very close look at this, because it is useful in a variety of melee and mining builds. The heart-bearing necklace is unfortunately a D tier item, because it's really just a weak hit point regen item that's not going to help you that much. In fact, I might even put this one into F tier. It's really just, it doesn't do much for you at this stage. However, it does upgrade well, so you may want to consider that for higher levels. The iron chunk necklace, I'm going to put this one into C tier, as it's basically just a weaker version of the scarlet chunk necklace, but you do get it sooner than the scarlet chunk, so it is a worthwhile necklace to grab. However, you are going to replace it pretty quickly. The mold vein necklace is going to go into A tier, as this is one of the strongest range damage necklaces in the game, and useful in practically every range damage build, until you have the glass bead necklace, that is. Neptune's necklace is going into D tier, as bonus to fishing just really isn't that useful unless there is a water type that you just don't quite have enough fishing to fish in at this point. Then you can equip that, get that little boost of fishing, and fish, in the desert in much earlier than you may be able to normally. The Nomad necklace, this one is absolutely an A tier item. It has excellent crit damage, excellent health boost, both of them just wonderful. Definitely worth using this thing once you get your hands on it. All right, my heart will go on with the Ocean Heart necklace, but it is still a C tier item. It isn't that bad. It does have a really good hit point boost when you need it. However, you are going to replace it as soon as you start specializing in some of these better necklaces. The Octarine necklace, like most Octarine stuff, is D tier. It's really, the bonus is fine, I guess. Look, I had a discussion with someone in my Discord recently, because I don't give attack speed the time of day that I probably should. And that's why I tend to put these attack speed items in D tier. But this one is also, again, like a double whammy. It's attack speed, which I don't use that often, but if you do, then that's going to make this more useful to you. But also, I really believe strongly that these things should pick a lane. No one uses both ranged and melee at the same time. I mean, if you do constantly switch back and forth during a fight, let me know, but I have never seen that tactic used before. I've tried it myself, and I have found it to be painful and frankly slower and more irritating. It's easier to just pick a lane, and these necklaces need to do the same thing. Give me either ranged or either melee. I don't need both. Omeros necklace is currently sitting in C tier, as it is an excellent general purpose necklace for melee and mining. However, something that will probably be replaced later on once you get one of these higher tier necklaces that more or less do the same thing. The polished copper cross, this one is going right into S tier. It is one of the best early game necklaces in this is wonderful. I shoot for this necklace as quickly as I possibly can. One of the things I do in new games is I push myself to a wood farm as quickly as possible, so I can max out my crafting as fast as I can and get myself polished necklaces, this specific polished necklace, as well as some polished rings, before I've even killed like the second boss. The polished coal amulet actually is a little bit better than its non-polished version, and this is why it's going into C tier, as it does provide a fishing boost, which is actually kind of nice and makes this necklace more useful in general. The polished gold crystal necklace, I'm going to throw this one into C tier. If you can craft this, it is better than the unpolished version. However, it's still pretty quickly replaced by significantly better necklaces. And if you're crafting polished necklaces like this, you can craft the polished copper cross necklace, so make that one instead. The polished iron chunk necklace is actually going to go into B tier, as the hit point boost makes this much more useful than its unpolished counterpart. Then we have the polished octarine necklace, and this one I'm putting into C tier, as the movement speed buff makes it slightly more useful, especially in earlier builds if you can craft this quickly enough, as movement speed is just nice to have. The polished scarlet chunk necklace I'm throwing into B tier, as it has a wonderful dodge bonus, a wonderful armor bonus. It is an excellent necklace that is worth crafting in the mid game. Ra Akar's necklace, I'm going to put this one into B tier, as it is a really good thorns necklace, and at the point in the game that you're getting this, you're going to be taking a close look at a couple of different possible thorn builds to see which one fits your playstyle the most. The Remadaisy necklace, I'm putting this one into D tier. Just, immune to poison is nice if you need it, and then if not, take it off. That's all this thing offers. The rusted necklace, right into A tier. Best mining necklace in the game. If you are looking to shoot your mining score up as high as possible, this is the necklace for you. The Samhain offering necklace is getting put into C tier, as it's not a bad necklace if you need some early healing and you are melee. However, if you've got your healing under control or you're not melee, then this necklace just doesn't serve much purpose. The Scarlet Chunk necklace is going into C tier, as this is pretty decent if you just need a little bit of extra armor. It's also pretty cheap and easy to make, so if you don't have a lot of Scarlet or you can't craft the polished version, go ahead and grab this one. The Skull necklace, I'm putting this one into D tier. The hit point penalty hurts at this level, so that really makes it not all that great, and the attack speed is good, but is it worth the hit point loss? I don't know if it is. And we've got the Torque necklace, which is going into A tier, as this is probably one of the best general damage boost necklaces in the game. And if you're looking to just do a straight up damage percent build, this one is one to take a pretty close look at. The Tower Shell necklace I'm going to throw into B tier, as it has got a really strong mining necklace, and you can get it in the ocean biome, so you can get it pretty early if you're lucky enough. Although sometimes getting ocean biome scenes to spawn or at this point can be tricky, but if you do get this one, then it is definitely worth it, especially if you need more solid damage numbers to prop up some of your percent rings, because if you don't have a good solid base number, those percentages don't multiply well. So this one can sometimes help make your mining just that much stronger. The Valentine ring is going into D tier, as this is pretty much just a gimmick necklace, and at this level it's just not good at all. And then finally we're going to end up with the Wild Warden necklace, which also is going into D tier. Its stats are a little weak, however it is useful. I actually do have it in one of my builds. At least I have its endgame version in one of my builds, so it does have uses. I'm not saying it's useless. It's just very niche in what it is useful for. And that wraps everything up for today's episode. If you enjoyed yourself, please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you're interested in watching my videos regularly, and if you feel like adding some extra support to the channel, you can always join our Patreon or become a YouTube member. There are links in the description. Thanks again for watching. You're all wonderful, and until next time, stay crazy.